Hi, I'm Donna from the Bartram Trail Branch Library and the St. Johns County Public Library System, and today I have the honor of talking with Janelle Musser, who is the bear biologist for St. Johns County. Hi, Janelle, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I am doing just great. I am so excited to talk to you about bears today because they are so cute, although I know they're not cuddly. And I've heard that this is the time of year that bears are on the move.
Yes, so fall is the busiest season for bears. Bears right now are going through what we call hyperphagia, which is really just a big word that means they overeat and they eat a lot. So typically bears eat about 5,000 calories a day. And this time of year, they bump that up to 20,000 calories a day. So in order to get all those calories, bears are going to be active up to 18 hours a day right now in order to prepare for hibernation in the winter.
Well, when I was looking over the information for this interview, I saw that bears have a very intense smell, that they can smell things from a big distance. And when they smell food, that they will go out of their normal range, especially this time of year. So if you leave something utterly delicious out at the end of your driveway, you might get to meet a bear.
Yes, so bears have, basically their sense of smell is 7 times better than a bloodhound. And that's much more powerful than our sense of smell as humans. You know, we can't even really comprehend how good that sense of smell is. But in Florida, that means that bears can smell really well over a mile away, and they know what they're smelling. So not only are they searching for those seasonal food sources, like areas where acorns are coming in and are really plentiful. You know, a month or so ago when palmetto berries were in, they were finding those. But yes, if they can find really high calorie rewards, like our trash cans, our bird seed, our pet food, that's when bears are going to come in to our neighborhoods and come in closer to people to get some of those food sources.
So why are we seeing more bears now than what I consider to be normal? Because the bears have always been here.
Yeah, so while bears have always been in Florida, you know, in the 70s, there were as few as 300 bears left in the state. So at some point, our bear population was very, very low in the state of Florida. And through conservation efforts, that population has actually recovered. And now we're at over 4,000 bears in the state. So not only are there more bears, but there's also more people in the state of Florida. And so, you know, they're going to come into contact with each other. And just like we mentioned, the time of year as well, bears are also just more active right now. So people are going to see them more often.
I read that bears are basically like deer, that they prefer dusk and dawn for their roaming about, but they can, especially this time of year, be out even in the broad daylight. Is there any precaution that we should take? What should we do to protect the bears from us?
Yeah, so we term that, you know, you have animals that are active at night and are nocturnal, animals that are active during the day, diurnal. We call bears crepuscular. So we kind of call that dawn and dusk the bear hour. That's when bears are most active. But like you said, really they can be active any time of day. And typically in neighborhoods, they kind of switch their behavior to being more nocturnal just to avoid us a little bit more. But the best thing that you can do is if you live in an area with bears, if you're hiking in an area with bears, especially at dawn and dusk, but really anytime, being alert, looking for bears, and not being totally silent. So if you're going to go on a walk on a trail, you know, don't be so silent. You don't want to surprise really any animal, but particularly bears. So make some noise. If you're in a neighborhood where you know has bears, before you go out in the backyard or let your dog out, make sure you're making noise as you're coming and going, giving that bear some time to move out of your way and not be surprised by your presence.
I think that this is a great time for me to share a little video that you shared with me that I think is really kind of cool. and shows just what we're talking about with this bear. What do you think this bear weighs?
This bear probably weighs about 300 pounds.
I want my viewers to see the boot.
Hey, what are you doing there? What are you doing there?
I'm so amazed that this bear acts like my dog. Like he just stops and runs away.
Yeah.
I mean, he barely spoke to him.
Yeah, so that bear, that video was taken, I believe, in Minnesota, and most likely that bear had climbed that tree stand before, and there had never been a person in it. So it probably just didn't even recognize, it may have smelled something new, but just, you know, was doing its usual thing. Maybe it likes that tree, maybe there was a food source up there, some sort of, you know, acorns or something, and just climbed the tree like it normally does, and that day there happened to be a person in it. And you're right, I mean, all he had to say was, hey, what are you doing? And that bear wanted to retreat and go away.
I just thought it was so cool. I thought he smelled that Hunter's bologna sandwich.
Yes, maybe.
What's the most important thing for me to take away from today when we are talking about bears in Florida?
Yeah, so the most important thing I think is that we only have black bears in Florida. And so if you do see a bear, the number one thing to remember is that you do not want to turn around and run away from a black bear. You want to stand your ground, make yourself look big, you know, put your hands above your head. If you have small children or small dogs, go ahead and just pick them up, make yourself look big, kind of stand your ground. Do something like, hey bear, and then slowly back away into safety and let that bear move along. And that is because black bears react to dominance. And so when you're kind of standing your ground and you're more dominant, it's not really worth the fight for them and they will just move along. But if for any reason a bear was to make physical contact with you in Florida, you do fight back. Because once again, it's that same thing that they react to the dominance, and so they want to get out of that situation.
That's very interesting. I think I've only seen one bear my entire life in Florida that was an actual bear. I saw more bears in Alaska, but I've really enjoyed this, and I want to also screen share your website because you have a very informative website about bears and what's going on with them in Florida, and there's so much information here. I am personally in love with the pretty face that the bear has, but I will scroll down and let my viewers see that there's a lot of news about bears. I think there's a bear blog somewhere, and there's also the most important thing is who to report a bear sighting to, or any kind of a bear conversation that you might have, so that an expert like you can take control of that situation.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, we are here for the public. You know, our biggest thing is education and outreach, talking to people about bears and managing those conflicts when they happen. So if you have questions about bears, if you're concerned about bears in your area, you had an incident with a bear that you want to talk to us about, that's what we're here for. So don't hesitate to call. We have an office in each of our regions that takes calls, and we also have a 24/7 wildlife conflict phone number that can be used for emergencies, not just for bears, but any wildlife at all.
Well, thank you so much, Janelle. I've really enjoyed my time with you today, and I think we've learned a lot about bears. I do want to talk about my favorite part of bears, which is bear cubs, which are born in the spring. How many cubs does a bear normally have?
So typically it's around 2 to 3, and in Florida, all of our bear cubs are born right around February 1st, give or take a couple weeks. And bear cubs are born really small. They're about the size of a Coke can when they're born. They're completely dependent on their mother. And so they're born inside the den, and she keeps them safe. She's nursing them, keeping them warm. And then typically in about March, April, that's when they're big enough and they start coming out with her, learning all about how to be a bear, learning how to find food, all of that. And they actually stay with her all through the summer, fall, and next winter. And then that next spring is when she sends them on their way. And she actually doesn't let them really be around her anymore. So she makes them leave, and that way she can breed again.
And do it all over again. What a good mama. We all send you out into the world. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to ask my viewers to like, comment, and share. If you have a bear story, I'd love for you to add it to this post. This will also be available on YouTube in a few days. So thank you so much. Janelle, do you have any final thoughts for us today?
My final thoughts are just, if you live in a bear area, garbage, birdseed, pet food, those are the biggest attractives for bears. So secure those. If you're having trouble securing them, please give us a call, because that's what we're here for. We want to help you with those things. And, securing those things is going to limit the bear activity in our neighborhoods and limit negative interactions that people might have with bears in Florida.
Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.